This is K.Louison, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm K.Louison alongside Knox Louison. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know it's been a while since your Miami Heat reached all the way to the finals just to kind of suffer one side defeat for the Denver Nuggets, which is expected. But now with that, it's on to a new NBA season. And with new NBA season comes breaking news that Giannis has signed a 3-year extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. What you thought?
Well, that's to be expected. I mean, he put them on the hot seat. He told them he wasn't signing until they kind of made a move to prove that they were serious about being contenders for a long period of time. So it makes sense. Giannis is one of the all-time great players we've ever gotten a chance to see. It's been a great story for him in Milwaukee, so it only makes sense that partnership gets extended.
Yeah, and that's no surprise too. We're talking about like a franchise player that's willing to continue making the Milwaukee Bucks relevant for years to come. Assuming, well, he's kind of on the Knicks radar for what I've seen in recent news publication, but let's be realistic. He was not leaving Milwaukee no time soon. At least not after the pick up Damian Lillard that trade, even though it makes trading away Jrue Holiday to the Boston. Well, first he traded to Portland, then when Portland released him, and he signed with the Boston Celtics because Jrue Holiday wanted to play for a team that's actually relevant. It's going to win a championship. It's like going to be the same championship tier as Milwaukee Bucks. But given that with the Milwaukee Bucks coming up, like what is like your whole expectation for the Milwaukee Bucks with Damian Lillard and Giannis? Do you think they're going to be like a good duo?
Their expectations for themselves should be multiple championships. You have a guy who's widely underrated and one of the best offensive guards ever. And then you have another guy who he's teaming up with, who puts them in a natural big little tandem. One big man, one little man. Giannis, who's one of the most complete players we've ever seen. Defensively, offensively, he's a juggernaut. He doesn't need to shoot threes. I don't know why everyone's calling for him to do it. He dominates the way he dominates. And coming off of the season they had last year, and this is all why they still get to keep Chris Middleton, who has been their second best player all these years. But coming off of the disappointing end to the season last year, you've got to be thinking that Giannis and Middleton and Brook and Bobby Portis are motivated more than ever. Then getting Dame hype that motivation to a next level. They should be thinking championship or bust. They should honestly. It's finals or bust for them. No, it's championship or bust because they've gotten a championship before. So championship or bust for the Bucks.
Exactly. Let's not forget what Giannis said in the post-game podium when they lost to the Miami Heat last year. Last year, he doesn't really consider last year fairly because he knows the steps he had to take just to get that one championship in 2021. Then he was kind of annoying reporters for them asking that question. And could you blame him? He knows that there's steps towards getting a championship. For not just for his era of Milwaukee Bucks basketball, but for many years before that. But in between the one championship they won with Donna back in the 70s and the year they won in 2021, he knew the steps that it takes for a Milwaukee Bucks organization to get another ring. If it doesn't work in this era, you'll try with another group of players that come after him.
Couple things about that. Number one, I love Giannis. It's one of my all-time favorite players. I've enjoyed watching him grow from a skinny kid who was just long to, as I said before, one of the best players we've ever seen. He was dead wrong in that press conference. He stunk up the joint in the last game. I think he had 40, he should have 50, but he missed about 13 free throws. So that's on him. They were the number one, as we make a college comparison, number one seed, so to speak, the number one team overall in the league last year, and they got totally embarrassed in the first round. So he might not think that season's a failure. He's been delusional for that one. That season was an absolute failure. You're the number one ranked team. You lost to the number 8 seed, and it wasn't even competitive or close. Granted, he was injured, but he didn't look injured enough to get embarrassed the way they did. Secondly, I'm a fan of basketball for the longest. I hate when people discredit teams' championships and things like that. But the year the Bucks won, that's a bit of the bizarro season. That's the year after the bubble. That's the year with COVID protocols and guys missing games. A lot of weird things in the NBA. A lot of weird things happened in the NBA that season that we've never seen before. We probably never see again. LeBron gets eliminated in the first round. I don't think Golden State makes it to the playoffs. The Clippers go to the conference finals. It was just a really, really weird season. And they won, yes. Giannis won in dominant fashion. I think he scored 50 in the final game to clinch it. And a championship, but that one doesn't really rank that high all-time NBA championship. So getting one with Dame, getting one post that Bizarro season, I think would really solidify their greatness. Both of them, both Giannis and Dame. It also puts a guy like Chris Middleton and guys like Brook Lopez in a different category. They're two-time NBA champions who contributed to the team.
Yes, that's a very interesting point. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's basically pretty much the leader of this franchise. I mean, he came into the league averaging about 50 points a game with Milwaukee, was like one of the worst, but he literally became that homegrown talent the Milwaukee Bucks needed. I mean,
yeah.
Yes, it came at the circumstances in which he won the championship was kind of weird, but you can never take away from the championship from that championship glory that Giannis has had. He worked his way for the ground up. He earned that. You saw that his little brother, his brother got a championship while playing with LeBron James with the Lakers in the bubble.
All three of them got championships.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a proud family. Shout out to mom and pop Antetokounmpo. You got three sons who won championships. That's impressive.
Exactly. Even though two of them had to become a bench warmer behind LeBron James and
hey man,
but a championship is still a championship.
Championship.
Championship is still a championship.
Yep.
But speaking of championships, why don't you tell me we get into NBA predictions. Started with your rookie of the year. Will it be
this one's
Wembanyama or somebody else?
This one's a bit of a no-brainer. Victor Wembanyama is clear-cut the favorite. I will say this: I kind of can see a scenario in which they shut him down early, and he doesn't quite make the 65 games requirement to win an award. Although I think they'll probably get him at least to 65 and then shut him down. But in the event that he gets injured, or in the event that San Antonio shuts him down early, then Scoot Henderson will win it. But by all accounts, I can sleep tight thinking Victor's going to win it.
Okay, that's your rookie of the year. Now we got MVP. I mean, let's be honest. The MVP race is wide open.
Yeah, MVP is tough, man. I want to say Giannis has been the best player in basketball the past 2 seasons. Prior to Jokic, prior to Giannis flaming out and then Jokic winning the Finals MVP. He is the current reigning best player on the planet. I kind of think Giannis reclaims his title as the best player on the planet, and I think he does that with an MVP. But I'll throw out there Jason Tatum. We're kind of all waiting for him to turn that corner. So I'll say this is Jason Tatum's year. If not, then Giannis, and if not Giannis, then Anthony Davis. He's the dark horse.
Okay. Giannis. So you're pretty much between Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and what was the other?
Yeah, I mean, it's either one of those guys, but I think Anthony Davis is a dark horse. But I think it's either Giannis reclaims his title as the best player in basketball, or Jason Tatum finally ascends to that level of winning MVP.
That's a very interesting point. Now we get to Coach of the Year.
Tough one. Coach of the Year. I'm going to go with Darvin Ham. If not Darvin Ham, and forgive me, I don't know why this guy's name is not coming to mind, but the new coach of the Bucks.
Yeah, we'll just go with Darvin Ham for now, since that's one of your main predictions. I mean,
sure, I'll wear it. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, not a bad pick. Now on to your most improved player of the year.
This one's tricky. Statistically, it probably should be Tyrese Maxey if James Harden eventually gets traded like he should. I'm not sure why he's still in the Sixers. He should have been traded. I think then Maxey gets a leap because then the gap in scoring, that there's going to be a gap in scoring that he needs to fill. Homegrown, not homegrown, but locally, I'm hoping Mikal Bridges gets it. I can see him becoming a full-time 20-point scorer, full 22, 23. But I don't know if voters are going to reward Jordan Poole for the massive green light that he's about to get in excuse me, no longer Golden State. The massive green light he's about to get in Washington, where he can score at will whenever he wants. So he might take a huge leap in his statistical numbers, which might lead people to vote for him to be most improved. But I think the guy who actually takes the steps forward to be a better player this season will probably be Mikal Bridges.
That's a very interesting point. That's a very interesting point. I mean, like when he was playing for the Phoenix Suns, he wasn't this. We didn't see Mikal when he came in for the Phoenix Suns. I ain't seen Mikal Bridges being as good as this.
Right.
He could be a very useful piece playing alongside Ben Simmons as far as the Brooklyn Nets.
Ben Simmons is playing alongside him, and don't sleep on Ben Simmons. I mean, if he really is serious about turning the corner, and you consider what his terrible numbers were last year, then he would be in a good situation to be the most improved this year, because he can't play worse than he did last year. So he might have a huge jump in his numbers.
I mean, he really can't. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is not on the team anymore. Is not on that team anymore. We can't forget about Kevin Durant. He's an MVP candidate too. But yeah,
the thing with KD is just games. You know, KD's still KD. He hasn't lost a step since. He's actually been better, believe it or not, since tearing his Achilles. But it's just, will he make the 65 game limit? Don't know. History says no.
That's a very interesting point. Now, that's a very interesting point. Now we get to who is your sixth man of the year.
That's a tough one. Sixth man of the year. I don't think I'm prepared for that one. I'm gonna go with, let's keep it to one of my teams. Let's go with Tyler Hero. Sorry. Or I can see in a weird world where Rui Hachimura wins it. You know.
Let's see, Hachimura. Well, I'll probably just stick with Tyler Hero for now, since he plays for the Miami Heat. Since that was your first pick. I'm actually writing down as we're talking on the air. But...
so that in a couple months you can come back and be like, Knox, you got this wrong.
I'm just trying to. I like to keep notes. I'm just keeping notes.
Keep notes. You're really funny about your notes. I don't see any. I don't see you chiming in on who you. No. What I'm saying is I don't see you chiming in on who you're picking, but it's okay. I can wear it. It's cool. I have no problem being wrong.
I gotta keep notes. I gotta ask. I'm the host. You're the.
You're right. You are the host. It is your show. You're right.
I watch enough sports shows to know who to ask. I mean, but I can make my predictions too if you want. But
it's all good. I got this. I'll wear it. It's all good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now on to the very next question. How confident are you that your Miami Heat can actually return to at least the conference finals, especially after the last few seasons that they've had?
No, the Heat are in dire trouble. They overachieved massively last season, which is great. There's no shame in that. And then they were just banking on this Damian Lillard trade to happen that never happened, and everyone around them got exponentially better. The Bucks are 100 times better than the team that the Miami Heat faced in the first round. The Celtics are 50 times better than the team that they faced in the third round. Even the Knicks, you anticipate, will be a better team this season with a full year, not a full year, another year, having played with each other. So, Miami, I don't see conference finals at all for them.
Yeah.
Barring some crazy midseason trade for a player I don't know that's available.
That's a very interesting point. The Eastern Conference has gotten better with the trades the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics have. The Knicks are going to be better. The Miami Heat are going to be better. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be better. But let's not forget, you're being carried by Jimmy Butler, one of the greatest Miami Heat players all the time. Not greatest player, but greatest Miami Heat player all the time. He carried Miami, an 18 Miami Heat team on his back last year.
Yeah, he definitely did. He's our best player, and he's one of the best players in the league. He has one of the most I don't say legendary, but it's a legend that's growing of playoff Jimmy. But you got to think, they lost Max Strus, they lost Gabe Vincent. They were banking on getting Damian Lillard. That didn't happen. Tyler Hero scrubbed the Miami Heat from his social media for a few months and had to go back and be like, yeah, I am a Heat player. That's kind of awkward. they're in a tough situation. They didn't improve, and everyone else around them improved greatly. The only team who probably regress as much as them would probably be Philadelphia, maybe. But even they are in a position once they jettison James Harden to be improved. So Miami's in a tough boat.
Yeah,
Real
but you
tough
never
boat.
know. Miami could pull a rabbit out their hat and get James Harden to go on their team. You never know.
Good luck getting James Harden to commit to Miami's practices and training regimen. Remember, to be on the Miami Heat, you have to have a certain level of body fat and things like that. I don't think James Harden passes those exams.
You got a very interesting point. Now we want to get into we got to get into the New York teams as well as we saw the Brooklyn Nets still managed, even with the Kevin Durant Kyrie Irving trade, they still managed to keep their playoff streak going and go into the season. They at least have Ben Simmons and Markel Bridges, as you said, is a most improved player candidate. They still got Cam Johnson. Nicholas Claxton is going to get you some inside buckets when he receives the ball from Ben Simmons or Markel Bridges on the low post.
Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges, excuse me. But with all that going forward, and the Knicks expected to be just as good, if not better, coming out of a second round appearance, just to get taken out by your Miami Heat, which New York team do you think is going to be more improved? The New York Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets?
Oh, easily the New York Knicks. They have a far better roster. They have way more talent. It's my how I like to say they got better players. They have way better players on the Knicks than they do on the Nets. The Nets are a good young team. I will say this defensively, the Nets should give teams a headache. Nicholas Claxton is a great defender. He's one of the best big men defenders in terms of the ability to switch both on perimeter players and post players. He's also good man defense and weak side defense. Although I think he's better weak side defense because he's a little too frail to guard a Joel Embiid or a Giannis or a Jokic. But weak side help, he's great. If we get Philadelphia Ben Simmons, that guy was one of the best defenders in basketball, no questions asked. He's also one of the best passers in basketball. So the Nets might be fun. It might be a fun, league pass team for some people outside of the New York market. It might be fun to watch. But then the Knicks are an actual Eastern Conference playoff contender with all stars and guys who are some of the best at their position and the things that they do. So I anticipate the Knicks to be far better than the Nets, even though I'm a Nets fan.
Yeah, I know you anticipate that, and I know you. Well, we can't forget that's only if Ben Simmons doesn't get back to being the Ben Simmons that the New York Knicks could not stop once.
Now, a lot of people couldn't stop that Ben Simmons. He's a really good player. I mean, let me rephrase that because I was never really that high on him. I wouldn't say he's a really good player. He's an effective player when he did well, which was defend and pass the ball. He has some glaring deficiencies, but he was really good at what he did really well.
That's an interesting point. Now let's talk about some NFL news as well. We've had this conversation off the air. The Giants managed to score a win against the Washington Commanders yesterday, but it was led by a rookie quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. And
Tyrod Taylor's not a rookie quarterback.
Not rookie, but
he's a vet.
As far as being a starter for the New York Giants.
Tyrod Taylor is a vet. He's been in the league for quite some time. But besides that,
but what are your overall thoughts on the Giants' victory over the Commanders? And
the Giants.
I know before the win happened, you wanted the Giants to tank to win the lottery.
It's not tanking, right? I mean, I guess it is tanking, but I don't like to use that term. You have to realize, okay, I know Giants fans, and I'm a New York football fan, so I want to make sure the Giants are good, the Jets are good, the Bills are good. So I cheer for them to be good. I know Giants fans look at last season and say it was a success because they went to the playoffs, and the Giants organization looked at Danial Jones as being an answer. That's why they invested a new contract into him. Daniel Jones had about 12 or 13, 15, somewhere touchdowns last season, which is bottom of the league for a starter. Starters don't have that few touchdowns in modern football. You pass the ball. Guys are airing it out. Granted, they don't have a great wide receiver core. I get that, but he hasn't shown the ability to be that dynamic in the passing game. He is clearly, easily the worst starting quarterback in the NFL who is not a rookie or a second-year player, guys who have a little bit of grace period. He's not good. Now, if you rewind to a couple years ago, the Jets were in a position to get a highly touted quarterback out of college. One of these guys who you hear about since they're in high school. Trevor Lawrence. And the Jets, with all their pride, said, we're not tanking. We're going to play the season through. And the Jets end up getting Zach Wilson, and the Jaguars end up getting Trevor Lawrence. There's no one on earth who would pick Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence, right? The Jets had a chance to be the worst team in the league and get Trevor Lawrence, which would have turned around their fortunes. The Giants are not a good football team. They don't play well. They just don't. They're slightly below middle of, not slightly, they're dramatically below middle of the pack, and they're slightly above bottom barrel. And if they probably are at the bottom of the league, if we're being honest, you have a chance to get Caleb Williams, or the quarterback out of North Carolina. I apologize, his name skips my mind. Strategically throw the season. Concede that you are not going to make the playoffs, and if you make the playoffs, you're not beating anyone. And there is a top-rated college quarterback. Go get him. I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to be the answer to all their problems. I'm saying anyone is better than Daniel Jones at this point in time, and your team is not trending in the right direction. So also what hurt the Giants, and we all love Saquon. You know, he's the throwback to having a dominant running back, but dominant running backs don't win you championships. Go back to the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have the last star running back in football, and he might be the last star running back in football history, if we're being honest, because that position is totally being revamped. And they're not winning playoff games. They're not making it to the playoffs. They're not a top-rated team. The sport has gone past having running backs as just your best player. The Giants should have never wasted that pick, unfortunately, on Saquon Barkley. We don't draft running backs that high. You have running backs by committee. So at this point in time, the Giants need to concede. The season's over. Even if somehow you miraculously turn around, you're not beating anyone in the playoffs, and concede to getting a top pick and the top pick in next year's draft.
That's a very interesting point. I mean, the Giants have had a lot of games where it was over before it got started. They had games where they didn't score in the first half or didn't score up until like the second half.
They won like 3 games without scoring a touchdown.
So they won 2 games. They could have won a game against Buffalo, but the way they executed the last play before the end of the first half was kind of egregious. They could have just kicked the field goal. The loss against Buffalo, they could have just kicked the field goal, but instead you try to go in, you try to run it on first and goal at the 1 yard line, and then the clock ran out before you even get a chance to run another play. You had no timeouts remaining. I don't know why you went and did that. You could just score the field goal right there. You were up by 6 points. Then you get to the end of the game. You got lucky on the pass interference. All you have to do is just throw it to Tyler, go into the Darren Waller. It went over his hand. No pass interference call. Game's over. That was just tough to watch.
Yeah, that was rough.
Every other game, the Giants got smoked. Well, you had a chance to get. I mean, you had a chance to get with it. Like literally. I mean, obviously that was a game where Danial Jones got hurt. You had a chance to get into it in a single touchdown. I believe it was the third quarter, whatever the case may be. And he throws an interception. He throws an interception leading to a touchdown.
Yeah, the Giants have not been good. You could wrap it up by saying that the Giants have not been good, and it doesn't look like they're getting better. So, time for a change.
Yep, it is time for a change indeed. And to wrap up the show, let's just get to your NFL picks for this week. I mean, well, minus Monday Night Football, you're not going to get my results of that. You're probably not going to be talking about it. I mean, it's the 49ers going up against the Minnesota Vikings on the road. I mean, yes, on the road, but let's be honest, the 49ers are not losing that game. We all know that.
You never know.
Yeah, probably. Okay, Thursday Night Football. Let's get to your predictions. As you know, I like to do a little bit of NFL picks every week for a special guest that comes on.
Okay.
Buffalo Bills at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Bills. Shouldn't be close. The Bills need this game. They need some confidence. So Bills, yep.
Okay. Los Angeles Rams on the road against the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. On to the next pick. Green Bay Packers at home against the Minnesota Vikings.
Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Vikings are pretty much either building off a potential win on Monday Night Football against the 49ers, or they're just trying to redeem themselves for the loss. They're not that good. Now, Atlanta Falcons on the road against the Tennessee Titans.
Titans.
Okay. Indianapolis Colts at home against the New Orleans Saints.
Saints.
Okay, because no problem. Miami Dolphins at home against New England Patriots, who did score a big win against the Buffalo Bills.
The Dolphins need this game. This is their to get their confidence back. They're going to rout them.
Okay. The battle of New York teams, New York Giants versus New York Jets. I mean, I know we probably went over this over the phone and you just said the Giants are not good, but you at least see the Giants winning this week against the Jets?
The Giants need to lose every game from here out on purpose. So, no, the Jets are going to win. When the Jets should win. Far better defense.
Okay. Now, on to the next matchup, Pittsburgh Steelers and home against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pittsburgh's been playing really well lately. They got a terrible win yesterday. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. Let's go Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the Washington Commanders.
Eagles.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Carolina Panthers at home against the Houston Texans. That's probably another no-brainer. You going with the Texans?
Houston Texans. Yeah. That's C.J. Stroud versus Bryce Young, right?
Mm-hmm. The battle of rookie quarterbacks.
C.J. Stroud, the truth.
Cleveland Browns on the road against the Seattle Seahawks.
Cleveland Browns. Big win for them yesterday, too. Myles Garrett is just absolutely unstoppable. Man's not human.
Yes, he is. Now on to your Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Denver Broncos. Even though the Broncos did score a defensive slugfest victory over the Green Bay Packers, let's be honest. We know who you're going to pick.
Come on. Chiefs all day.
Let's be honest. The Chiefs are not losing. Plus they won like about 8 consecutive games against the teams in their own division. Let's keep that in mind.
Make it 9.
Baltimore Ravens on the road against the Arizona Cardinals.
Ravens.
Okay. Cincinnati Bengals on the road against the San Francisco 49ers.
Oof. I'm going to say the Bengals need this game, so they got to pull it out. They need to. Plus, now's the time to beat San Francisco. They're banged up.
Mm-hmm. Chicago Bears on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Chargers.
Now on to next week's Monday Night Football matchup. The Las Vegas Raiders on the road against the Detroit Lions, who've been pretty phenomenal this year, minus the loss.
Minus yesterday. Yeah, I'm just going to go with the Lions, though.
Okay, so yeah, just keep the notes on that. Those are pretty interesting picks. How confident you feel about your NFL picks in Week 7?
I always tell people, man, NFL picks are tricky because any given Sunday. So I never feel too confident about NFL picks.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done it in this kind of way, like where I'm actually taking notes, and I'm gonna keep notes on this just so when I give you a call next week, I'm gonna make sure to inform you of what picks you got right and wrong.
So you can rub it in my face with the stuff I got wrong. No problem.
No. I'm just testing your knowledge.
Okay. Testing my knowledge by picking football games. Picking football games doesn't test your knowledge. It doesn't. There's no chance of probability anything else.
That wraps up this episode of Nothing But That Sports. So thank you for stopping by once again. I love having you on the show, and don't worry, I'll get you on future episodes, and I'll get your friend Ralph and your brother Knox, your brother Maul on the show.
I'm looking forward to it. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And as I always say, man, keep up the good work. I'm always proud of you.
Yeah. And for Knox Louison, Rafiq Louison, we'll see you next time.